I am resident of Colorwood for YouTube, Joel Saints. I'm joined by my friends. My God, Cara, Tillitz, and Christine Pierce. I swear to God, I'm so used to saying Patrick McRae, it ain't even funny.
Right.
We haven't been on in a long time, so.
But it's so glad to see you both back here. I'm so excited to talk the Dark Shadows sets with you both.
We're excited too.
From Dark Shadows in the beginning and Dark Shadows later on was sort of a tale of like not necessarily difference, but the one difference we lost, I think, a bit from the beginning was in the beginning we had the atmosphere because they did some on location and they did do the sets. It wasn't just all backdrop.
Right.
Yeah, they had the backdrop, but we would see Alexandra walking at Seaview, aka the Carey Mansion nowadays. And we would actually see her standing at Widow's Hill. And there's actually a behind the scenes photo that I posted once on Instagram where Dan Curtis and a bunch of them are standing on the beach, and they're shooting upward at Alexandra.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
There's your Widow's Hill right there. It's just that big. I'm waiting for like Alexandra to do like a diving jump at him, like so they can catch her.
Flip. No.
Yeah, just do a moonsault and see if Dan Curtis will catch you. I'm sure he would have. But so we don't get that with later on episodes, like with post Barnabas. We do get a lot of sets.
Yeah.
Even more so. So what's something like from a location standpoint, what's something Yins enjoyed most? Was it like the Carey Mansion, like Victoria walking the Carey Mansion? Because we would also see Roger walk along the docks too, and we would see Sam Evans, David Ford walk along the docks to the Blue Whale. They shot that too, which was beautiful. I love how they shoot him from the back too. Sorry, I didn't let you answer. I apologize.
It's all good.
But what was you guys' favorite sort of on location from the beginning?
Definitely in town, like the Blue Whale. Like we got to see the shore, the docks, and where Maggie worked, the hotel, like just all in town. Like we only get a very brief taste of that before, like you said, we just start doing the sets. Mm-hmm. But I loved seeing them actually like walk through town, like or like past the antique shop or whatever. I liked that a lot. And I wish we got more of it.
There were some earlier scenes where you would see, like I can remember one where Carolyn and Vicky were walking from Collinwood to the old house, like through the woods, and then you'd see them walking up to the old house. Oh, that.
Yeah, the big pillars.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was awesome. And
that is very cool.
Seeing Josette dance on the porch outside, that was pretty cool too. I thought that was awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, I like that walk through the forest, up to the old house, because you see how tiny they really are next to that big old house. Mm-hmm. And it gives us an idea of, yes, they live in a big house, but the old house is really big too.
Yeah.
So it makes that small set seem much bigger.
Yeah.
So
it gives you that illusion that hey, they're actually really there, but they're not. But they're shooting that and they put it in.
Yeah.
And then, but I'm with you. I love how when they walk up to the old house, like back toward the beginning, and this is when Matthew Morgan warns David, "I told you to stay out of here."
Yeah.
Third David had taken over the role by then. And it's like, I told you to stay out here. I'm like, Matthew, nobody listens to you, dude. But
one of them ended up.
You're both right. How tiny they looked. They look like toys moving almost, which was like, I felt like I was watching that the Secret World of Arietti. I'm watching the bars.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. And so I'm with you. I love how they shoot that. But like for me, like one of my favorites is when they actually first shoot them pulling up. When they pull up with Victoria in the cab to the Carey Mansion, to the CB, because that was a location shot. That wasn't just something they played with. And then they show her going to the door. Now, there are some beautiful tracking shots. Like one of my favorites is Roger going to the dock, walking along the dock. That's a beautiful tracking shot during the day.
Oh, I like it.
Like if you ever want to see another gorgeous tracking shots, watch my favorite Western, Once Upon a Time in the West. You will be blown away.
Okay.
Highly recommended. But here too, they do beautiful tracking shots with Roger, and even like the blue whale when you see David, the back of David Ford. I like that because he is tracking, he's moving. They're not necessarily following him; they're just watching him.
Yeah.
But it makes you feel like somebody could be watching him, like
Right.
What's a set that when you first saw, like, what's like from the beginning, what's your favorite set design that Cy Thomasoff, master set designer? I mean, he was, which is funny because Halloween Resurrection, the Myers house is a set. It's not the actual house.
Yeah.
With Dark Shadows, I'll try to stay on topic. Cy Thomasoff did beautiful set designs. What's you ladies' favorite set design from the beginning?
From like the beginning part of the show?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. I would probably, I mean, it feels like such an obvious answer, but probably the old house, just because of Barnabas doing all of the redecorating and making it to its original form. Like, and I don't know, that is my favorite.
It's funny you say that because I was going to say the same thing, but a close second just for variety here. Because I would have said the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Because it's such a contrast. You get the old dilapidated, looks like it's falling down old house,
like down to having no electricity, or telephone, like.
But it looks so much different when Barnabas moves in there and starts fixing it up.
Yeah.
But a close second, I would say I loved Josette's room. I loved it. Yeah. I thought it was gorgeous. I thought it was one of the most well done rooms.
You smell the jasmine coming
out. You can smell the jasmine when you walk into that room. But just the detail they added to that room, probably followed up by the drawing room in the new house, in the new house and at Collinwood, the great house.
Yeah.
But what about you, Joe?
Well, now I'm a sucker for Widow's Hill, but I'll switch it up for this one. I love because the first cemetery we get isn't Eagle Hill.
It's not.
when I do the Phoenix arc, and we meet the same caretaker pretty much. We meet the caretaker. It's this other cemetery, and they're going into a mausoleum, a bigger mausoleum. In my view, to what they did with Barnabas. At least it feels that way. I could be wrong.
I agree.
Like, I love how they did that. Like, it sounds so simple, but it's a nice, creepy looking set that they get to use.
I agree.
Like, that's the thing. Like, the sets always fit the Dark Shadows exterior or the story they were always doing. Like, when you see the dining room where Maggie works, the restaurant, and I just reviewed the episode where you could see Lewis Edmonds outside dancing around, like doing this little jog.
I remember that.
But Maggie, Catherine Lee Scott's character, is like checking like the window. If she just go to the other side, she'd see him. But you got hey, that's a set, and he's outside of it, so he's not cued to come in yet. He's waiting for that.
He's back there dicking around.
And but it's so neat to see that. Like,
it is,
It's real. Like, it just feels real.
Yeah.
Another one of my favorite ones in the very beginning was when Carolyn and David and Vicky would be in the breakfast room, like the kid. Like, we only got that a couple times, but I thought it was so cool.
We didn't see any more of that going forward.
We never got to see anything behind that door under the stairs where they were going.
Yeah.
Except for that.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
The basement where Paul Stoddar's body is supposedly there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like, when Matthew, I'll tell you, it was creepy too. When you first meet it wasn't there, David, but when you first meet Matthew Morgan, he's coming down the steps, and Vicky's in the basement,
Yeah.
and it's just like this dude's got like a fire poker for a weapon. It's like, here's this unarmed woman just standing. I'm like, God, Vicky needs a revolver right about now.
Oh my gosh.
What did you think about the basement and how it looked and how, because they're going to open the door obviously much later on to reveal the inside of it, though we do see the inside of it a bit prior to, like a bit prior where Jason McGuire shows up and he goes inside.
Yeah.
We do see it. But what did you guys think? What did you ladies think of the basement?
For me, it was pretty realistic because it looked like a basement I used to have with all these boxes and stuff laying around, you know,
Yeah.
and cobwebby, and you know, I don't know. It was realistic for me. I thought it was pretty well done for a basement that never gets that never nobody goes into, because Liz says absolutely not, and
Yeah.
you know, it looks very unkempt.
Like,
Is that the right
yeah.
word?
Yeah. Very abandoned.
Yeah, just there because
Yeah.
it's part of the house.
Feels like a, no pun intended, but it feels like an old dirty crypt.
Yeah, it does.
Like
It does. Like I wouldn't be surprised if there's a body hanging out in there somewhere.
exactly. It gives you that feel.
And for the longest we thought there was,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It's like, this is the perfect place for a dead body.
I'm like, is there even any electricity down there? That's what I thought too.
Right.
But
We know the old house's basement has none. So
No.
where Barnabas keeps his coffin.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's an interesting sort of contrast too, like because later on, when we see the basement of the old house, there's a steel door protecting the basement. There's not like this.
Yeah.
It's like for Liz's basement, it's not a steel door. They just have a lock on it.
right.
But the door's not steel. But when you see the old house, hey, they were smart enough. Hey, we're putting a steel door on this puppy.
This is the only non-antique in here.
Yeah, right.
I wonder what they're hiding down there.
It's very suspicious.
Here's what's weird too. Like where I live, like part of my road, like part of where I live, like people up here have electricity, but you go down in a Hawkins Hollow, they don't live with electricity. They live without power. Like they live without basically indoor plumbing.
Wow.
That's how they live down there, and their homes are in the woods. I'm like, and like you'll see them like out hunting and stuff in the back of their own houses. It's like, okay.
Did you say so? No. Look that way. More power to you. I'm with Berg Devlin on that. I need electricity and heat.
Well, here's the thing too. There's a creek like right there, like not that far from where they live. So they probably use the creek for stuff. So
Yeah.
I guess. Jeez.
Wow.
so
Good
I
on
don't. I've never asked.
Maybe you don't want the answer.
Maybe I don't. But for the Dark Shadow sets, I do like when we see the blue whale and it packed with people, I think created a great illusion. Just the very early episode where Burt Devlin and Wilbur Strake's like, oh wait, this place jumps, like Bob the bartender told him. And then when the next episode you meet Carolyn, there's a bunch of people in this literally this soundstage, this set.
Yeah.
It's like, how in God's name did they fit all these people?
You know.
Had to be a fire hazard.
I don't know if it's that episode. I know Harvey Keitel's in one of the episodes as an extra.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's in like one of the early episodes as an extra, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
But that's when he was a lot younger, obviously, because he mentioned it in an interview. He said, "Yeah, I was an extra in Dark Shadows." I'm like, "What?"
That's awesome.
That's like, that's cool. What did you think of them having all those people in a set, and it looked so natural?
It did look so natural. Like you forget that it was you forget that it was a soundstage. You know.
I mean, it's the perfect dive bar setting. Like dive bars are like that, and I feel like the Blue Whale is that authentic dive bar feel. And they are tiny, hole in the wall like that. And you expect to see people crammed in there and dancing and sitting at the bar and all the tables packed.
Right. Like if you get up, you're going to lose your seat. Yeah. And it felt that way.
Yeah.
When I turned 20, every time I walked into a bar to play pool, because that's why I would go to a bar with people I know to play pool. Every time I'd walk into a bar, there'd be freaking Phil Collins song playing. And I'm like, does Phil Collins own this bar, or people just Genesis fans or something? Like, I'll give an example. Every time I'd walk into it was called Big Six. It's not there no more. They'd have I can't dance playing like every time, and I'm like, do y'all just have this song on repeat? Like, because it's coming from the jukebox. I know not, but it's like, it's just funny that song was playing every time I would walk in and shoot pool.
It's your walk-up music.
It felt that way. I'm like, listen, you got any death metal on there? No? Oh, you need to get some.
Right? Oh my god.
Don't get me wrong, I love me some Phil Collins, but guys, like, come on.
Phil Collins loves you too, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. I'm like, what? Why are we playing Phil Collins? And my one friend, he's like, what the hell is wrong with Phil Collins? I'm like, I didn't say anything was wrong with it.
It's just getting weird.
He's like, he goes, we just play it just for you. I'm like, oh, okay. Nice. But I think that would have, it's too early because for the 60s. But that'd have been funny if Dark Shadows would have been set in the 80s and they had Phil Collins playing, and I'd have howled. But the music they did have on the jukebox was for their time. It was really good.
Definitely.
Bob Kerbler did a really good job of knowing the music with the sets, obviously, and with the show. But I think too, another, like you talked about the old house. I think how they did, like you said, how they did Josette and like did the location shot of her dancing around. It's like,
absolutely.
Great job. Like, especially how, and I sent this to a friend of mine who he's a big time YouTuber, Ryan Bowers, Everyday Horror, shout out to him. I sent the Josette coming out the portrait, and he said, holy shit, that looks like a real ghost.
Oh yeah,
it does. I'm like, how in the world?
Yeah. And in black and white, no less.
Yeah, they pulled it off.
And it's just spookier that way. I mean,
I agree.
Oh, I love
agree.
it.
And you can't really tell what Josette's doing at first when she's on the porch, and then you see, oh, she's dancing. This is her house. She's claimed it, know. And I just, that was one of those things like, okay.
It was almost calming, but also a little scary.
Yeah, it was unsettling, an unsettling calm, if that's an oxymoron. But
like, oh, she's happy. She's not being haunty, but
yeah,
it's also scary because she's a ghost. Like, yeah.
The deed may be in Barnabas's name, but the house belongs to Josette.
It was Josette's house. Yes.
Like, Barnabas, we only put your name on there for pity, dude. It's okay.
Truth.
But which I liked how they did that too, because it's like, wait, we've seen Josette come out the portrait, and later, much later on, we're gonna find all the house was left in Barnabas's name. It's like, yeah, that house still belongs to Josette, dude. It's all good. So
that's now.
Right? What did you think of when they showed the inside of Collinwood, how we first see it when Elizabeth opens the window and stuff, and we get the drawing room. What did you think of the set of the drawing when you first saw it?
It was very regal, but I thought they could have used another lamp because it seemed a little dark in there. but no, I mean, the way it was set up, I felt like it just kind of set up the whole show.
Yeah.
It's like
you could tell that this is where a lot of things and scenes are going to happen.
Yeah, it's like if the walls could talk,
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm like, I wish I could like insert myself in that room.
Yeah.
And hear all the conversations and you know, but then so many secrets come out in that room, and so many things happen in that room. And I think it just, the way they went in through the window, you know, with the great, you know, mistress opening the window, it was just
that's probably my favorite part of that room is the big window.
Yeah, the great big windows. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Roger crushing the frosted glass.
Yeah. Sherry. Yeah.
I think something I noticed too, going back through the episodes, is you're right, the drawing room is not the greatest lit thing in the world, but I do think it's the where it's done on purpose too, for a degree, is not only does David Hennessy's character, hide in the drawing room, but he hides like underneath the staircase where it's really dark.
Yeah.
Liz is walking across the landing. I just hit one of my lights. It's okay. She's coming to, and she looks. Jen Bennett's character looks as she's like at the top of the staircase, and she sees David Hennessy like crouched down in the dark, but she sees him, and she goes, you're much too old for this hiding space. And I love the line because it's so good. But then he gets clever with it. He goes more towards, instead of being across from the staircase, he's up against it. And he's wearing black, and you can't see him. You know he's there because you saw him go there, but nobody sees him, and they're like right there.
Yeah. What a frosty child. What a frosty child.
Check your staircase.
Yeah. That's a whole other story for another day. What a pill.
No comment. We deny all. But what did Jen think of that? They do have the rooms sort of not quite lit so well. Do you think it's done just on purpose for just David, or is it just done to set the mood for the gothic feel?
I think definitely to set the mood, but I think if it was too well lit, I feel like it wouldn't have the same effect. I mean, it's Collinwood. Yeah. You know, it's like Maggie said, there's something going on in that dusty old house on the hill, and it's like, if it was well lit, you know, that gives us the idea that there's nothing to hide.
And it kind of makes sense, you know, further down the road as we get into dark, like into everything, like why the house is so gloomy, figuratively and literally.
It's gloomy on the inside too, and I love that, you know. And
it's a big stone house. Like it's hard to, I don't know, like I feel like it's hard to light a stone place like without, like Barnabas had it right, like with the candles and stuff. I think I don't know, electricity doesn't look right.
That's one of those places that you know would probably look better by candlelight and not too overly lit. But I was going somewhere with that.
I mean, and remember, I mean, that house was built in 1795. And they had to work around the house to put electricity in there, not the other way around. It wasn't built with electricity.
Good point.
So I don't know. I like it clean.
I think for the sake of the story, I think that, you know, the darkness maybe has something to do with the supernatural grounds that it's been built on too. You know, maybe. I mean, that's. I like to.
I swear, it's built on a hellmouth.
It is built. I think it is.
Like Collinwood, it's built on a hellmouth. But
them Collins family members, they did something to deserve that. No.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the widow. Something else happened there too. It's got to be.
They were doing some dirty bee's knees.
Well, I sort of wonder too, because the Salem. I wonder if the Salem witch trials come into play at all for the Collins family. I don't know if they do or don't. I know that's something Laura Parker got into with the Salem branch, but it'd be interesting to see, because we do hear Reverend Trask is from Salem, which is a best Solomon Kane impersonation ever, Jerry Lacey.
Absolutely. Well, remember later on with Angelique, when we see the Miranda Duval stuff, that was during the Salem witch trials, and Amadeus Collins was one of the judges, at least. Like, So they were around for the witch trials.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, and he did a dirty deed.
And it was
on
dark.
the
It
dais.
was dark back then too.
Yeah. So
The first hospital we actually see is actually the beginning too. We get it says doctors. The doc. It's not the doctor we love and know that's going to be murdered by Barnabas. It's a different doctor who fixes Roger up after he has his little bleeder valve incident.
oh yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we do get an actual doctor's office set design way in the beginning. What did you think of that?
Realistic.
Yeah.
What I would expect for a small town doctor's office.
Yeah.
You know.
There's like one nurse there at the desk. And
Yeah.
one doctor bouncing through 10 rooms.
Yeah, very, very, very humble, but
Yeah.
you know, it's not like the doctor's offices we have here in Denver, where it's like 100 rooms and 10 different doctors. And
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I mean, but from a small town, like it does have that small town
it
feel.
does. It does.
Yeah, it's very real. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely has that small town doctor's office feel.
Yeah.
I love it.
And he's very personal. They all know each other by first name.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
He's just personal. Yeah.
I love how too he's like he can't protect babies.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's true. As somebody who lives in a small town, because Penn Highlands Hospital is a small hospital. It's always been a small hospital. And there will be times when you go in there, there'll be two, three nurses in the emergency room and one doctor for 12 emergency rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll have the only other two people you'll see is from the x-ray department, but that's clear across the hall.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow. Like if you go upstairs, there's other people because there are people who get admitted, but it's like, it's so fascinating to see it like a small hospital, but to where I live, it's a small town. So I get why they do that. No, I live where I used to live. That was that Uniontown's a city. They got a big city hospital there.
Yeah.
Not that it's ever been any good. But with this, I love how it's so tiny. Cy Thomasoff did a really great job on making you feel this is a small town. This is a small community, and the actors' words too. I love how Maggie Evans tells Burke, "You forget what a hick town this is," meaning hick small town.
Yeah.
And then Carolyn goes, "How does anybody feel that my business is everybody's business?" And you see the frustrations of living in a small town.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they never stop reminding you, which is what I loved as well, that it was a small town. Like every set, like on scene or like set, like they never stopped reminding you how small it was, how tight knit it was.
But I mean, we were raised in small towns. Like we haven't always been, in the big city, and it really did feel like a small town feels, like it's not unrealistic. Like everything that goes on, you got your one rich family who lives up on the hill, it's and everybody else is a working Joe, and it just, I feel like it was very, very believable as a small town, but
now we don't actually see the inside the cannery, but we do get Roger's office.
Yeah.
Which I love how it looked. It just looked like a normal guy's office. It looked like a business office.
It's not like Mad Men where it's like it's very humble for the richest guy in town.
Yeah, Joe Haskell got to sit in there and take phone calls.
Right.
It's like wow, they just that's when they were searching for Bill Malloy as well. So
yeah,
it reminded me of Dad's office at the meatpacking plant. You remember that in our small town?
Right. It even had that smell.
Yeah, that's what it brought me back to. Like when we lived on the East Coast and we lived in a really small town, our dad used to work at this meatpacking plant, and it looked like Roger's office. His office looked like Roger's office.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it reminded me of. But again, realistic small town.
Now, and my mom, the way they had built my mom's old video store, like it was a very small store compared to what you would see like other mom and pop stores be.
Mhm.
It had like there was the long ass tall counter with
Yes.
with and my mom would have to go like open up the thing, walk behind it, and she goes, "You need to get your butt behind here and sit right there."
So nobody would see you.
And, well, here's the thing that like the wooden counter was tall, but the short glass where my mom kept the candy was like small. It was like lower than that. It's weird. Like you didn't try to leap the tall wooden panel, you'd be crazy. You wouldn't do it. But you could damn sure leap that glass counter.
Oh, sure, definitely.
So when I'm sitting there, I kept thinking about that. What if some jackass tries to like leap over me? What do I do? I'm just a kid. I'm wondering this, and I never said nothing to my mom about like all the time I sat there wondering. I'm like, no, I'm sure my mom will handle it.
That's the roll, man.
But when I was because by the time I became a teenager, my mom's store closed. It's like so I didn't have to think about it no more. And I was old enough to like defend myself. But I was a kid, I'm just sitting there like, what do I do if somebody leaps this thing? So it's things like that you wonder. But then when you look at Dark Shadows and you look at Roger's set, it's like Roger's desk looks like just a modern desk. I sort of wonder like if he could smell the fish being canned.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I think it just
Like
smells. I think it just smells
door.
like that. You remember how it smelled on the wharf in San Fran?
Yeah, I remember.
That's what it smells like. That's just what I imagine it smells like. It just
like the whole town, really.
Yeah.
But you get that smell when he opens the door, just that waft in your face.
I mean, there's catching fish, skinning fish, getting ready to sell.
Canning.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
What did you think of? We get the old house, we get the great house. What did you think of the sea house, or what's his name? Caleb Sayers Collins house. Could you tell somebody was a Chicago Bears fan? Gail Sayers. So, but Caleb Sayers Collins house, nobody could own it for 100 years.
Right.
He was paranoid, but it's empty. That house looked really dark on the inside. You could tell nobody lived there either. What did you think of that?
I would have liked to have seen more of that house because we just got like the open room. But Barnabas went upstairs and found a hanky or whatever, and I would have liked to have seen more of that house. But I also would have liked to have seen somebody live there, even if they couldn't own it. I would have liked to have seen, Vicky and Burke move in, make it their house or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I think, it seemed more humble than, other Collins places.
I was going to say that. Like, I love.
But enough.
There's the two mansions, and then all the other ones are very humble and very quaint and cute, like the cottage and the house by the sea that Nicholas goes and lives in.
But still roomy.
Yeah, but it's still very
but not grand,
Yeah, I loved it.
Every time I think of Caleb Sayers Collins, I keep thinking of Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Like, I bet this dude's just like a crack scientist who's crazy.
With the unlit candle going up the treacherous staircase. I'm sorry.
With Igor.
Sorry.
Oh my god.
I'm a bad influence.
I love that movie. I'm sorry. It's one of my favorites.
Oh my god. Yeah. Well, sorry, go ahead. What was that?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Laugh about Young Frankenstein.
But here's what I missed, so I apologize. We do get Matthew Morgan's cottage, which is later going to be Laura's, which they're actually going to move around a bit too, because how Matthew Morgan's cottage looked for Matthew Morgan isn't how it looked for Laura. What did you think of how it originally looked to how it would look for her?
It fit the person, honestly.
Yeah.
Like when Matthew Morgan lived there, it looked like a cabin.
It looked like Hagrid's hut.
Yes, it did.
Harry Potter.
It did look like Hagrid's
hut.
Like,
very full of stuff.
Yeah.
not dirty, but
mementos and stuff,
full of stuff. And then when Laura got in there, it was very elegant,
very not petite. What's the right
little
word?
knickknackies and
Very
nice
feminine.
Candles and Afghan on the couch. Like
simple, but kind of feminine.
Yeah, feminine.
Very high maintenance for her.
Definitely, yeah.
And then again, when Chris Jennings moved there, it didn't change a whole lot, but it changed a little bit. Just ever so slightly. Yeah. But I still feel like you could tell, a guy lived there instead of Laura Collins.
Mm-hmm.
But
I love how eventually when Bruno's ass is living there, he has a piano in the place.
How did they do that?
That's right. I forgot about the piano and
a couch and nothing else.
Yeah.
Like Bruno just must be the happiest dude on the planet with that piano sitting.
Yeah.
Playing that same song over and over. It's like, don't you know anything else, guy?
So haunting.
Well, all he dreams about is Angelique. I mean,
true. Very true.
So, every character has their. Barnabas had his obsessions with Josette. We get Bruno, who has his obsessions with a parallel time Angelique.
That was Thing of Power, the OOP.
His
that song.
His OOP was the
Ode to Angelique.
Yeah, I love how that's on the Dark Shadows soundtrack.
I know.
I love it. It's great.
Like I'll play the Dark Shadows soundtrack like once a day, and when that song comes on, I'm like, goddamn Bruno.
I know.
It's like, great idea, great usage of a song to have somebody actually because they don't do that with everybody else, where somebody wrote that song for that character, where another character wrote the song for somebody else. Quentin's theme is just Quentin's theme because we hear it, and then it's used, and he plays it through the machine he has. But with Angelique, we have another character who wrote her song.
Wrote her a song.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's cool. That was creative. But what did you? I'm trying to think of the next house. What did you think of? Oh, here we go. Dr. Eric Lang's house.
Eric Lang's house, yeah. It looked like a mad scientist's house. There were like file cabinets everywhere, and papers, books everywhere. It was so messy. Like you were sitting on research, like on the couch. Yeah. Like it looked very much like a mad scientist's house.
Everywhere you'd step, everywhere you'd sit, your butt or your feet would be on a piece of something that he found out, and something that is vital to something he's doing. But I'm sure even he doesn't know,
Yeah. Yeah.
He obviously never hired a maid because it was,
No. Like he was very top secret about everything. Like obviously nobody came into that house but him.
No.
And Jeff Clark.
Do you ever think?
Well, Barnabas.
Do you ever think he made Jeff Clark do the cleaning?
Oh, probably.
He was too busy digging graves.
Yeah, when he wasn't digging graves.
Oh my God. I would have rather cleaned the house.
I'm sure Willie would have too, but Willie was digging.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
This is probably how that conversation went. Yeah, once you bring me the severed arm from the dead body, clean that room over there.
Jeff Clark's room was the cleanest room in that house.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I like how, though, too, like in that very same house, I like how his office is upstairs. It looks okay. But then you go downstairs into the laboratory where Adam's body is. It's like, this place looks like a fire hazard ready to go.
Those rickety machines.
Like it didn't change much when Adam trashed the place. It just a couple things got knocked over.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Hey, it was clean.
It had to have been.
I'm surprised they did, like the Dark Shadows writers didn't write anything. Hey, let's have Adam just accidentally cause a fire.
He could have.
I know. In his childish days.
All that electricity pumping through here. I mean, how did he not blow a circuit or something or trip a fuse or something with all that electricity?
That would have been neat for sure.
Where the lights go out.
Yep.
there we do get an interesting set design back toward the beginning. Sorry if I jump around, but there's a scene where Laura is in a cottage by this, or is in a dock by the sea, or cottage by the sea, where her and David are, and that's where the big fire happens.
Yeah, it's like a shack.
Yeah, shack.
Yeah, it's like a fishing shack, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
Sorry.
So, there's noises in the background. It scared me.
Kids are playing Fortnite.
Mine's playing Minecraft. So.
Right, there you go.
The other one's playing Madden, so I'm like, Lord,
right,
boys in their games. But
I liked the shack. Again, it felt, even though it was a set, it felt like an on location scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we got to see people walking to the shack, like outside of it, and then opening the door. Like it felt like a very on scene, like not just a set. So
I don't know how they did it, but like they got the little shimmer from the water too, like on the windows. I thought that was clever.
Yeah.
Because it made you feel like that shack was literally on the water, on the beach somewhere, you know, and you know, all kinds of fishing gear hanging around, nets hanging from the ceiling, and well done. Well done.
Yeah. I liked it. Yeah.
I like that too, but I also like how they shoot it where Vicky is outside and you see David inside. That was really clever by them.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, you can see them through the windows.
That was cool.
Because to shoot that scene, and obviously the fire is chroma key, but great job, like selling their asses off here.
I agree.
Yeah.
You know,
it's just that beginning was so enchanting, and that was part of it. You know, I think that was part
without
of it.
any macabre really going on yet. Yeah, the Phoenix finally came, but like they had that feel anyways, all without magic and witches and vampires.
And the sets were a large part of that. I'm
the sets
sure
were a large part of it. They set the tone very well.
Yeah,
very well.
I agree.
Yeah.
When we first see, because people might say we don't see the West Wind until Quentin. No, actually, we see it when Vicky and David go back, and Vicky gets locked in the room.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of the spooky West Wing in the beginning?
I wanted to say this when we first started the show tonight, but the West Wing, the mystery of the West Wing, like even as filthy and dirty as it was, like it was so mysterious. They built up this mysteriousness of it the whole time, and then you get up there and you're like, wow, like it's a freaking maze, like it's a whole nother house.
I have to bunny trail on that just for a minute, because I think they never say that this is what it is, but it gives me the feel that it is when we go to the revival series and Vicky is chasing Sarah up through that gave me the feel of the West Wing, because it's all cobwebby. It is so dusty. Yeah. Like when the key gets flicked under the door, and it, like you can see the dust fly up when the key gets flicked. And when she opens the door, it's so that is what I picture the West Wing. And if that's what it was, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Yeah. I mean, it
they
felt
never actually said, oh, that's the West Wing.
Yeah, but it felt like it was, you know, and it felt so well done. But going back to the original, I felt like the West Wing, like you said, you know, it's behind that door at the end of the hallway where their rooms are. But that door is never opened. Yeah. And nobody has a key. I mean, I think Carolyn has a key and David somehow gets it, but it's always this door that's hanging out by their bedrooms, but nobody goes in there. Nobody even wants to go in there. And then when they finally do, it's darker than the rest of the house. It's messy. There's pictures like sideways on the wall and broken and like furniture. I don't know, man.
Well, and David knows all the secret passageways too. That's how he gets up there.
I couldn't wait to figure out what the story was behind that. Yeah, you know, just from seeing it alone.
Like that was my most anticipated, was to get into the West Wing.
And then when you finally do, there's a skeleton sitting in the chair, and you're like, Quentin?
You don't know. You don't know until we get there. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very well done.
We'll put Cara in the room with the Quentin skeleton. We'll know for sure.
I volunteer.
Some of that's illegal, just in case you didn't know.
No, but
I'm sorry.
Sit there and listen to music. That's all.
I'm sure the gramophone still works.
It did.
because Judith Collins locked it up exactly the way it was. Didn't let Quentin get any of his stuff.
No,
Yeah.
just walled him up in there and left him there to rot. And he did.
That's pretty.
So when they go and find it in present day, it's exactly the way it was when Quentin left it.
Mhm.
So that was cool, I thought.
Yeah.
So
you want to know a video game that I think took some inspiration from the walled up room a bit? Silent Hill 4 The Room a bit.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you keep going back to your apartment room every time, and the phone keeps ringing, and it's not always a person.
Mhm.
you say like you. I'm sitting here just being blown away.
Well, Mary plays it, so
okay.
I sit and watch a lot of video games get played.
I'm sitting here just getting blown away. She's going, yeah. And I'm like, what do you mean, yeah?
Cara knows what I'm saying about it. It's a great game.
I'm such a square. I am the square of this relationship. I fully agree.
Well, here's a funny thing too. When I saw The West Wing for the first time in the 90s, there's a game called Daggerfall, and the creator of Daggerfall, he opens the game and he goes, "Excuse the gloom," and that's what I keep thinking about The West Wing.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Like, well, look at all this gloom. It's just there's like this cobweb, there's this dust. Mrs. Johnson would have a fit.
Yeah, she would.
Right.
Yeah, she would. I think that's part of the reason Liz kept her out of there, besides the fact that it just wasn't being used, It's like she didn't want to hear it.
They do a great job of building the terror there too, when the door will like the door of the West Wing opens and then it shuts by itself. And then when the door opens and Liz comes from behind the West Wing, it's like, damn, Elizabeth got some big balls for a woman. You got some guts, girl.
I mean, if she's not scared of anything, she's not scared of her house.
Yeah,
like she knows every nook and cranny. She knows what's in the house and where it is.
But
don't open that door.
I had that same curiosity, that same fascination, that same want to know what's going on in there as I did when we got to the East Wing. Because she was like, there's nothing remarkable about that wing. There's no stories. There's no nothing.
Yeah.
But there is something there. So, I mean, when Barnabas figured out that there's a parallel time there, I mean, I was just as entranced, just as, fascinated to figure out what's going on,
Yeah.
But I'm like, but why don't they? Why don't they use the East Wing room? Because if there's no stories there, why don't they use it? It's a nice big room, I don't know.
I think the Collins family motto at times is, a lie is a lot simpler than the truth. I think that's their motto, I think, sometimes, because when the West Wing is sealed up and they let all this dust collect, and that's the thing, when Vicky's locked in there, it's like, who she sees? She sees the ghost of Bill Malloy with the seaweed cover. Like, oh my God.
Right.
But
then when we get Quentin, it's like, or who they say is Quentin, it's like, dude's a skeleton.
And am I crazy, or do I remember this correctly? Like it at one point had like hair.
Yeah.
They
well, here's the thing. They do a skeleton, but then they do like this weird doll sort of thing with sideburns.
Yeah.
It's like, that is so neat.
Yeah.
Mr. What did they call him? I do not like the Mr. Shoot. I can't remember what it's called. What they called him.
Oh, I can't remember.
Do you remember, Jill? What they called him?
Best?
No. It was like the doll. It was like they had a little rhyme and Mr.
I can't remember.
I can't remember. Darn.
No, I can't. I'm sorry.
I do not like the Dr.
something.
I want to say spell, but I don't think that's right.
We'll get there eventually.
We're actually getting rather close to that, in our episodes for our podcast. So I can't wait.
Yeah.
I meant to tell you that earlier, Remy.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that episode. I will share it.
I told her, I was like, when we get to Quentin, you are leading them all.
Right. I got this. Guys.
Cara will be revealing the Quentin tattoo with the heart on the arm.
Right.
don't think I won't.
I tell you one that I really loved and how they, especially how they did it. Not just Nicholas's house, but how they did two Chris Jenningses at once.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One's on. You had Don Briscoe playing, not two Chris Jennings, but Chris and Tom at once.
Yeah.
You had Chris Jennings on the inside of the house, and he's talking to Nicholas.
Yeah.
And then you have, on the outside, Tom Jennings, the vampire, peeking through the window. And I'm thinking, that is so neat.
It's, oh my gosh, so cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Like, that's when I started noticing. I'm like, is this the same guy? I thought it was the same guy all this time.
Oh my God, they got twins. That's awesome. No. That's what, for real though. But that was.
But they had us fooled, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
Like, man, how did they pull that off?
Like, I know it's a different story, but the contrast between the two of those guys was incredible. And Don Briscoe played them both.
Like, from the get-go, he was night and day.
Yeah.
Like playing a night. Yeah. Oh, it's crazy.
Well done, Don Briscoe. Well done.
Yeah.
I like too how when we reveal Angelique's coffin down in Nicholas's basement, it's far different than any other basement we've seen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which is smart. I mean, not every house should look. This is where I think Cy Tomasov deserves a freaking award for the rest of his, for all time.
Yeah.
Literally, how he made everything look so different. Here's this basement. It doesn't look like the old house's basement. It doesn't look like Elizabeth's basement in Collinwood. It looks completely different.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, that is so freaking neat.
Yeah.
Well, and then when it looked different when we saw Angelique's coffin, but then when we see it again after that, it looks even more different when he is trying to conjure the spirit of Danielle Roget. Oh. Like it looks like a dungeon at this point. Like it looks like
an evil dungeon and everything. Like, oh my God.
And I think it's the same set they used for Hell when they saw Diabolos. The Netherlands is what they called. The Netherworld is what they called it.
It was Hell. I just couldn't say it on TV. No, I'm joking.
So, I think coming up in our next episode after the one that we're releasing tomorrow, or tonight, I can't remember. It's either tonight or tomorrow, I can't remember. But
well, something me and my buddy Daniel Culver were talking about because Akira Toriyama passed away. We were talking about Dragon Ball Z, and Hell was called the home for infinite losers. They didn't call it Hell. They didn't call it Hell. They called it the home for infinite losers. Which it's like, wait, what? Why don't you just call it Hell? Like,
Hell.
What on this show? Why? But that's another thing with dark shows. What did you think of the Hell set?
I think we said this before in a previous show with you. Like, I can't believe they actually went there.
Yeah.
They actually went to Hell on ABC.
Yeah.
Like daytime ABC.
It was called Another World.
They went to Hell. We all know what it was. Because he was talking to the devil himself, okay?
Yeah, he was.
I can't believe they went there. And it kind of, it was funny how it felt like a receptionist office.
Yeah. Hell felt more like an administrative
like
building.
It felt like there was a desk over here and like the doorway over here. Really, like it felt like a reception office.
I'll give you my little theory. I think Hell and Mr. Best's like waiting area was the inspiration for Beetlejuice's waiting area in a lot of ways. The movie Beetlejuice, because it just feels like, especially when you saw Mr. Best's like waiting area, it's like. And then you go watch Beetlejuice. It's like, well, wait a second. Like, it doesn't look exactly the same, but you can sort of see like the style that Mr. Best was going on. Oh, you have to wait here. Now, you didn't take a number with Mr. Best. That would have been interesting, though. We're in Beetlejuice's world. Yeah, you took a number. It's like, that would have been. I like how Hell has a prison bar. There's a prison bar in Hell.
Yeah.
It's like whoever came up with that idea of having a prison bar. Thank you.
Definitely.
Because when you think of your soul trapped forever in damnation. That defines it. Like a prison bar. Like, oh yeah, there's no coming back from this. I mean, yeah, Angelique's gonna kick out of there, but it's Angelique.
Yeah.
I feel like when I'd watch like the Ultimate Warrior like get pissed off and he'd start shaking her up. So that's Angelique. Like she just gets mad and starts going off on people.
Yeah.
But it's like she can kick out of hell. It's her. Because she can persuade the devil. But I do love how they did that. The fact that the devil is tall too, and he's in this black robe. It's like, dude, you're one creepy, creepy guy.
Diablos was creepy. He was, you know.
And you need it's supposed to be.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would have loved to see them if they would have cast. I wish they would have cast Rod Serling for that role. That'd have been funny.
That would have been so cool. Man.
But it's so neat that they did that though, because I'm thinking, but they, like I was telling my buddy last night, is some people had to get pissed off about it. It's like, really, it's a show, it's fiction.
Yeah.
There's so many other things worth it to get pissed off at, not that.
Like, I think it was really daring too when they start destroying some of these sets too. With the werewolf, we get a jump through the blue whale window. With Judah Zachary, he destroys Collinwood. Like he destroys like the drawing room and the foyer. Everything looks like it's gone to hell, literally.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the fact that they did that, it made you feel like you got punched in the chest.
Yeah.
Right. And nowadays they would have shot that last. They would have shot the messed up part last. But because they did this day to day, they had to screw up that set and then rebuild it.
Yeah.
How pissed off was Cy Thomas off?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was gut punching to see Collinwood like in ruins, because they did it so well. Yeah. Like it, falling rafters. I can't speak. Rafters falling from the sky, from the ceiling, and the wind blowing through the holes in the roof. And glass broken, and like ivy like growing inside the house. That was such a gut punch, because it was like Collinwood that we've known this whole time. This beautiful dark foyer and drawing room, and it's completely in shambles, like to the point of beyond any repair. And
and it was just left like that. Like Carolyn moved out, and
everyone else died.
Yeah, it was just left like that. I'm like, oh my god. Yeah.
Something we do get in the beginning, and even at times throughout Dark Shadows, we get the sheriff's office, which was a nice little. It looked like a goddamn sheriff's jail.
Yeah.
Mayberry's a good word too, because that's how it felt.
Yeah. It's like, are we in Collinsport or Mayberry?
Where's Andy Griffith?
Barn? Inch?
Where's Don Knotts? But that, I like how they did that there. You had a door, you had the little swing thing coming in. Yeah. But people would just storm in that sheriff's office like there was no tomorrow if they had a complaint or something.
Oh, yeah.
It felt I think that's another thing too, like with the sheriff's office, how tiny it was. You really got the sense of this small town that had this one man to enforce the law.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What did you think? One doctor,
sheriff. Again, I felt like it really aided in, letting us know how small townish this was.
Mm-hmm.
Like the jail cells are literally next to the police, his desk, the sheriff's desk or whatever, and a lot like Mayberry, because
they're right
the jail
there.
cells were right
there.
Got
my eye on you.
But it was different in the past. It was different in the past. Like the jail cells were behind another door, and all of the desks and stuff were in another room. When you first walk in. So I thought that was pretty well done. I can't even tell if it was the same building. If it was, because they redid it and made it feel different,
Yeah.
Same with the Blue Whale when it was the Eagle,
Yeah.
It didn't feel like the Blue Whale.
Yeah.
You want to know a game that makes jail cells look completely different and makes them look like, to me, Red Dead Redemption 2. Really
Oh,
different
yeah.
See,
from
the one I
Sand,
know.
where you do sit where they did Saint Denis, where you have this big jail cell and there's these two big huge cages on each side. To Valentine, it does this. There's these couple cells, and then there's Strawberry, which its jail cell is downstairs.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like it really made you feel different to anything that it looked. So somebody said, who do you want to do a Dark Shadows game? I said, Rockstar. I've played Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
Like they know how to make it look like it did. I mean, so I I like how this looks because I just love how small it is. I agree with you both. It looks so neat. It looks like hey, this is a small town.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm trying to think of the other if there's a the what did you because we do get a bridge scene in Dark Shadows. It's very brief with Amanda Harris. What did you think of that? That we get one bridge scene.
Believable, completely believable. Like it was as believable as Widow's Hill, you know?
Yeah.
Like it made me feel like we were somewhere
Outside.
outside.
Actually outside.
Maybe not in the city proper, maybe on the outskirts of city.
Yeah.
But still in like a pretty, dense area, but late at night when nobody's out, where the drunks are coming home from the bar and she's standing on the bridge,
Yeah.
But yeah, totally believable and ominous because she's standing there getting ready to take her life,
Yeah.
And I mean, it was very well done. The lighting and everything. It was excellent.
The lighting.
And set the stage for Mr. Best to come in with his very soothing yet creepy voice,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna send you something. It's the living shadow from the Shadowcast. Listen to it and then go watch that episode.
Okay.
That's why I say I do think Dark Shadows took a bit from the Shadow, because there's an agent named Harry. There's a man named Harry Vincent who's going to jump from the Brooklyn Bridge because his girlfriend left him.
Interesting.
I'll send it to you both when we get done here. It's really interesting. And the shadow saves him. And when he spins around, he sees this black form. He swears he's staring at death, but he's not. He's staring at the shadow, which is fun. And he doesn't tell him either about the girlfriend. He doesn't tell the shadow about the girlfriend. Then the shadow goes, "What about the girl?" And he's like, like, how'd you know that? But yeah, I do think a bit Dark Shadows did take from the Shadow a bit there, especially how they shoot, because black mist surrounded the Brooklyn Bridge. It invited Harry Vincent's plunge in every way.
Yeah.
And you sort of get that with Amanda Harris too. The fog is inviting her jump in every way. Mr. Best, he ain't the Shadow. He's too late to save her. He couldn't be quick enough. He didn't have agents though either. So I'll let him slide on that. Here's something too. We don't. I do wish the one set design, and I don't know if they ever had it in mind. I wish we would have got Garth Blackwood's prison. That would have been neat to see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
That would have been. That I think would have been up there in the ranks of going down to hell. You know, just because. Just of how diabolical he is, and how ruthless he is, I imagine his jail is something worse than the gallows, worse than hell, or the same as hell,
What do you think is worse, Garth Blackwood's prison, or Azkaban prison from Harry Potter?
Azkaban for sure. Friggin' Dementors. Oh my gosh. Suck your soul.
But I would expect something like that inside of Darth. I can't say Darth. Garth Blackwood's prison.
Lord Muggins.
See what I do here. I cause people to jumble their words. I
sound like a doofus over here.
That's okay. Like when I was recording a video earlier, I literally had to stop 4 times because I've kept jumbling words. I'm going, and I'm like, okay. This video just doesn't want me to record it at all. God's sake. And I'm like, what? But I do love how they did that. They created this otherworldly prison, like warden, that literally felt like he was from hell.
Yeah.
Like, even though you don't see it, I do think sometimes with characters, you sort of get the sense, okay, whatever that prison's like, it's a representation of its master, of Garth Blackwood, whatever, and it's not nice. I kept thinking about what was it? Oh, Mutiny on the Bounty. I kept thinking about how the captain punished one of his crew members by whipping them. And I kept thinking, I bet Garth Blackwood does that.
I bet. With the chain. With the chain around.
Yeah.
You know?
Instead of using a whip, he uses the chain. It's like, Jesus. It's like, why?
Poor Iris Speed.
Do you ladies ever think we'll get, not necessarily a set of it, because I don't know if they'll do that, but do you ever think that Dark Shadows will go on location for Martinique?
I would hope so.
That would be cool.
I would really wish
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
I would.
Like, I think we talked about that previously too. It's like, I would have loved to go to actually get flashback stories of Martinique, to get just, that for that visual,
I agree. I think,
because we never leave Collinswood.
This is just my opinion, and it's literally just that. But I feel like you have to go back to Martinique. I mean, you can hear about it, but I think it's beneficial to see what happened between Barnabas and Angelique and Josette and that whole ordeal, or to see some background for Angelique, because we get a couple of comments about how her mother was a healer and how this happened, but then she was just there. Yeah. So I think we almost have to go back to Martinique,
I sort of wonder if Angelique and her mother were part of a coven.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt it, honestly.
I mean, if Angelique was in Judah Zachary's coven, I would think her mother would probably be part of one too. Maybe.
Yeah.
The cult.
I wonder if her mother was as dastardly.
The cult, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's. I talked about this, like I said, the cult of Judah Zachary, but I love how Mitchell Ryan goes on in Halloween 6, and he's a leader of a cult.
Yeah.
It's like the cult of Thor. I'm like, that's just hilarious, considering know what you know about Dark Shadows, and knowing that there was like a cult of Judah Zachary, and Mitch Ryan, who plays this noble Burt Devlin. Now, he's played other bad guys prior to Terrence Wynn, because he was the bad guy in Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
Or he's one of them. But for the fact that he plays a cult leader in Halloween 6 is just like, it's a sight to behold if anybody's never seen it. And the fact that he gets to like do scenes with the late great Donald Pleasance, like the two great actors, which, by the way, the writer Daniel Farron, shout out to him, when he let me interview, he was initially wanting Sir Christopher Lee for the role, because Christopher Lee was somebody John Carpenter wanted for Simmons.
Right.
But that didn't happen, so they cast Mitch Ryan. Great cast.
That's okay.
Decision. Yeah, well, I'll take it. I'm a Dark Shadows fan, so I'm watching. But what's for the post Barnabas episodes? We get a bunch. We've talked the Quentin's room is a set as well. It gets bricked up eventually.
Yeah.
What was your favorite set post Barnabas?
Post Barnabas. The room in the East Wing.
Yeah, the parallel time room I thought it was beautiful the way it was set up, like with the piano and like the portrait and
It looked like its own separate drawing room.
yeah.
You know, I thought
I love the colors in it too. Like they had like this deep maroons in it. I thought it was beautiful.
I wanted to live in that room. I didn't care which time I got thrown in.
Yeah.
I just watched the most recent Trolls movie with my kids.
Uh-huh.
And that room is brighter than any of those trolls that are that have like these bright, beautiful colors. It's like that room is so beautiful. I'd want to go there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I could see why Barnabas had this appeal. It's like he don't want to be a vampire. Barnabas, it's bright, it's beautiful. It doesn't look gloomy.
No, it doesn't. Which was so. It did not set us up for how dark that room was going to be.
Yeah.
You know, and I loved how they did that. You know, it's like, look at this room. It's so bright and shiny and happy. And then the first scene you get is, I can't remember exactly what happened, but, you know, you have Liz going in there, tearing down the clothes, and then Hoffman coming in and being like, what are you doing?
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, okay, this room is anything but happy. It's bright, but it's dark, you know? So I don't know. I love that room.
Yeah, I would say that room. For sure.
My favorite scene in that room is when Barnabas walks in and he looks at Angelique's portrait. He goes, "Show me the eyes of Angelique." It's like Barnabas. He's always looking for trouble.
He is too.
Like he's like, I feel like he's Roddy Piper in They Live. I'm here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble gum. But
so true.
What did you think of Quentin's room when you first because they do open up the West Wing in 1897? We actually get to see the West Wing, colorful, like not all gloomy. It's colorful. We get to see Quentin's room, not all bricked up and a skeleton there. We get to see the very handsome David Selby, Quentin Collins be in the room. What did you guys think of that?
Oh,
I like that it felt like its own apartment. Like that room, like it felt like a living room. Like there's a fireplace. He had a nice chair to sit in by the fireplace. He had his gramophone. He had his desk. He had his macabre cabinet with his I Ching wands and stuff in it. And that wasn't even his bedroom.
Yeah, like the bedroom was off in another room
that we saw anyway. But I'm pretty sure the bedroom was behind it.
It was like we had Quentin's room, the main room where the gramophone and everything was. But then just outside that door is another room where he goes and lets someone in. Yeah, you know, and it's like
its own little apartment. I love it.
Quentin was spoiled rotten. Yeah, he just was.
Yeah, because the other rooms that we see before that aren't like that at all.
No.
So his room is sort of the first that it has two doors. There's a door to go out his bedroom, and then there's a door to go out to the hallway.
Right.
Which was just so neat. It was something, again, Cy Thomasoff doing a very good job of creating something different, for us to see. Because it's like, okay, how did they get away with bricking this up? And then you get it. Once you see it, you get it. You know?
Right.
Oh God. No, I don't feel sorry for Gregory Trask. I was about to, but no. I'm not going to commit that sin.
Right.
I've got enough villains I feel sorry for.
True.
But now we do get, though we don't get necessarily a set change. We do get a different, because it's a different time period. We get horses instead of modern cars, which we did get in 1795, but they have horses stables. Now I know in 1795 I think they hide. They talk about hiding. I think it's in the revival that they hide Vicky in the stable, don't they, or is it in the original?
They hide her in the stables in the original. We never see it, but they do hide her.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
I like how they tell her, "Oh, go to the new house that's being built." It's like, she won't get found there, guys. Real bright idea.
Nobody's working there.
Oh my gosh.
I think it would have been real interesting if they told her to go to the house Caleb Sayers Collins.
No, nobody's there.
Yeah. It's like nobody's there. You can go there.
Exactly.
But because the Collins are supposed to have this big ass property and all these houses, it's like, just go hide here. You'll be fine.
Mhm.
Um, that's funny too. That's something we don't see too. That I remember Carolyn mentioning. Because when David leaves the house after the bleeder valve, Carolyn says, "I checked all the places, even the ones I hid as a kid." We
Yeah.
don't see those hiding places though.
Right. Like,
That
tell
is,
us you hid. We want to know.
yeah, show us where. Here's one I did miss. When we actually get the cemetery where Barnabas is buried and where Josette's buried. What did you think of obviously the mausoleum where the secret door and the Eagle Hill Cemetery?
Eagle Hill Cemetery.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved when, Maggie was Barnabas's victim, and she's kind of lost in the cemetery a little bit, and the fog is rolling in over those gravestones, and then Barnabas just appears out of nowhere. That scene set him up to walk out of the fog. That was so cool. And the mausoleum, I think when I think of the secret room, I'm like, there's got to be like no cell reception in that room. Like, I know they wouldn't go there, but if they had continued with the pilot from 2004, that room had to have come up. And, Vicky really would have lost service then, no bars.
Yeah.
But no, I think the idea of the mausoleum and how, they said Joshua built it during the revolution to hide weapons and stuff. And I would have liked to have seen that, that room be used for the weapons instead of just the coffin room as they, but I don't know. Cemetery I thought was well done. Like overgrown looking, like Vicky when she's looking for Peter Bradford's gravestone, she's like, it's so wild here, and I'm like, I felt that it did look wild,
Which is funny because they do have the groundskeeper, but it's still like unkept.
Yeah,
almost,
yeah. It's like, why do they keep it so wild looking here, But
I like how because it didn't look like the cemetery we saw from the beginning. It looked completely different.
Yeah.
Right.
And the fact that we have a secret door in the mausoleum was just so awesome. Because that's when I first watched Dark Shadows, I was not expecting that. I was not expecting a secret door. And we all know Willie really wasn't either.
oh
So it's like, oh, he found a secret door. Oh, there's a chain cuff. Yeah, Willie, do not. I've seen where this go. I've seen this bad stuff happen. Where there's a coffin, there is a vampire. It ain't worth it, dude.
no, chain coffin never brings anything good.
I do remember, like, I read a story, like I read a fan fiction Dark Shadow story where they turned like the mausoleum into like a spiraling staircase. Then it went down deeper, and then there was Barnabas's chain coffin, which I thought was neat.
They did that kind of in the revival, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the House of
House of Dark
in House of Dark Shadows, they have Willie coming down a staircase, but it's not spirally, the way that.
But I do like that. I like that. Like they got to go down deeper, like into the sub basement. Like,
underground still, just not under dirt.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think how they worded it. They're going down, down, down. It almost feels like they're going down into hell.
Yeah.
That's a great description.
Yeah.
It's like, God damn it. Like, why? You don't got to tell me that. I can sense that already while I'm reading this. Because I'm picturing like this person going down this spiraling staircase in my head. I'm like, son of a bitch.
Right.
What's something from a set design do you wish we would have got, ladies?
Barnabas's room. After he's not a vampire anymore. I would have liked to have seen the master bedroom at the old house. Yeah. I mean, if Josette's room was so grand, what did Barnabas's look like?
It's like everybody just retreated to Josette's room.
Or did we already see it in the past? Because we did see Barnabas's bedroom in the past when he lived with the man. Did he just take his old room?
we can only assume that he did.
Yeah. So I would have liked to have seen his room in present day to see if he had, kept it up the way he did in 1795.
It's a good point because it's a far time from when we do see it in 1795 and then when he's completely human.
Yeah.
You almost forget that we went back into the past and we did see his bedroom. Like you just forget. You make a reminder there.
Yeah.
But you can only imagine that he did do his own room like it was.
I wish Rose Cottage would have come up sooner. Because I thought it was so cute. I thought it was Flora had it real nice there, you know.
Like when we see Barnabas, before we get into Rose Cottage, when we saw Barnabas's room in the past, like, and you think about, because the one thing I kept thinking about was Barnabas in the present day. Like, did he ever did he ever open the door to his room and look in and go, yeah, I married a witch, God. But you know, hey, you know, yeah.
We didn't get to see that. I mean, would he have kept this? This is the room I died in. You know, would he have kept the room? You know, I don't know.
I bet that when he died, that none of the sheets were changed.
I bet not.
Like the sheets that are on there are still the same sheets he died. He just laid there and died.
Gross.
That's just.
I'm serious.
And what did he do with Angelique's room? Because you know it was there.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if he's going in to restore the old house to its former glory, what did he do with Angelique's room?
Yeah.
I just like to know.
That was, the small servant's room that she had, like the small little bed that she had, and then she gets the Barnabas room. You get this big, nice bed that two people can lay in, and it's like, yeah, that's an upgrade.
Right.
Did he stick Willie in there?
That's what I was going to say. It might have been Willie. Willie maybe stayed there.
Yeah, I am wondering if Willie stayed in Angelique's room.
Yeah.
Because technically, you know, he's a servant to Barnabas. So
yeah, he is. Yep.
It would have been interesting if that would have been the case. So we don't see. That's the thing. No, actually, no, he didn't. He stayed in a different room. He stayed in like there was like a bigger bed for him. But because I forget, we do see Willie's room. I forgot too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because we get Barnabas does the worst frame-up job in the history of frame-up jobs, but by placing Maggie Evans's ring in a candlestick holder, like God.
And
then obviously knocks it over on purpose. That was not subtle at all, Barnabas.
This is like David with knocking over the wrench off the table.
Yeah.
It's like,
oh, how clumsy of me. Okay, real smooth.
The Collinses are bad at frame-ups, like really bad. Like, speaking of Rose Cottage, which is a house that it looks absolutely stunning on the outside.
Yes.
But we get the inside of Rose Cottage too. What did you think of that?
It's like a dollhouse.
It fit Flora's personality so well. It just did.
Yeah.
Like I think Flora's personality was all over that house. I really do. And the fact that did they make a dollhouse of Rose Cottage, or did they make a house out of the dollhouse? I can't remember what.
They had a dollhouse that looked like Rose Cottage.
Yeah.
And when the kids went inside the house, it became the dollhouse.
Yes.
And you saw the eyes and like, because the kids tried to stick before Barnabas went back in time, they tried to stick a Barnabas figure in the house, and then Judah Zachary, Gerard Stiles wasn't having none of that. He's like, nope.
Yeah.
Like he was playing paper football, going.
Right, exactly.
But which it lets you know Judah Zachary was sweating Barnabas a bit. So.
Oh yeah.
No, I can't have this vampire interfere in my plan right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because he had no power over the vampire, you know.
Yeah.
So.
I tell you what I love about Rose Cottage. I love how they have Judah Zachary's head behind this little drape.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, yeah, that looks creepy as all hell.
Right. And what's his name? Desmond keeps talking to it.
Desmond, yeah.
Don't look at me.
Desmond would be the guy who owned the Hellraiser puzzle box. He'd be like, hey, look at this thing.
Yeah.
True. Bring it a present to Quentin.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Okay, here's one for you. Who, out of all the Collins family members, who would accidentally press the button first on the pen raiser elbow?
Probably Desmond, to be honest.
Or Carl.
Yeah.
Carl was such a
Jokester.
jokester, you know.
Yeah.
I don't mean to pick on John Carlin's characters, but those two would have been my first choice.
I think Quentin would have thought it too much to death.
Yeah, Quentin probably would have overthought it. Or David Collins might have done it.
David.
So, I mean, mischief maker that he is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well,
my money's on him.
What did you think of Evan Hanley's little house that he had?
It was quaint. No.
Yeah.
No, it was very I think Evan Hanley might have lived a little bit above his means.
Yeah, but
Looked kind of posh, you know, for a lawyer. You
I mean, it
know?
reminded me of Nicholas Blair's house by the sea.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of had the same little feel for me. Yeah.
yeah.
Because Evan Hanley never really struck me as somebody who was loaded, but his house looked like he was, you know?
Yeah.
So
I sort of wonder, because we do hear that Evan Hanley and Quentin are into the occult and collecting. I wonder if Evan Hanley sold occult collections too on the side for money.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
It wouldn't surprise me.
But,
Yeah.
I don't know.
What did you think of the Reverend Trask's school for children?
Oh my gosh.
Hell on wheels.
That's horrible.
It was awful. And it was so it felt desolate. It felt isolated. It felt like Trenchbull School from Matilda.
Worthington Hall.
Worthington Hall.
Yes.
Yeah. I went to Catholic school very briefly. That's exactly what it felt like.
Yeah. I can
Never went to
It felt like going to Catholic school all over again, and you had to wear these nice button-up shirts. You're sitting in the classroom, and it's like, yeah,
quote scripture.
yeah. Please get me out of here.
public school all the way.
Yeah.
Mom, I don't want to go to this private school anymore. You didn't have to enroll me here. Please just get me out of here. I don't care what you got to do.
Right.
Like, why don't you like it? I'm like, the people keep looking at me, and I just want to. I feel like I'm the right hand of Satan at this point. Can I leave? Like, let's please.
Those are some dastardly kids too. I'm sorry, but they like in Catholic school, some of the most dastardly children.
Yeah.
Well, here, the funniest person I ever met in school was not a kid. It was actually Father Tony. He was a priest, and he was hilarious. He's like, hey, you watch that Steelers game? I'm like, you watch football? He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I watched it. So he was the one person. Like, I couldn't talk to the kids. I talked to the priest. I'm like,
yeah.
why can't the kids be cool like you?
Exactly.
Right.
Back in public school, yeah, they talked about this stuff, but like here, no. Like,
No.
why? But yeah, Worthington Hall, especially the fact that Trask locked him in a dark room, the dark closet room.
Yeah.
That was
That
was creepy. That because Trask, when he's bricked up in Quentin's room, he keeps thinking about how he locked the kids in the room.
Yes. Yeah. How it feels.
It's like it gives them the new meaning to the pokey, you know?
Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm just saying it does. I think that's what they called it in Matilda was the pokey, you know, and that's what it reminded me of.
Man, yeah.
You ever what was it? You ever see Danny DeVito? I forget whether it's Romancing the Stone or whatever. He's like because there's this army. He's like, it's like they're invading Iwo Jima over here, and I'm like, what?
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Like, yeah, I could see that. He's like all upset about it too, because he's like this hustler. It's like, why? But yeah, Matilda's a great movie, especially to show your family. Here's a question for you. Have you ever seen Watership Down?
No.
Great movie. Go watch it.
Okay.
It's not quite for kids, not at all. 'Cause there's like blood in it, and there's like these evil rabbits and stuff.
Okay.
But it's a good movie.
Okay. Okay.
I don't recommend bad movies usually.
Usually.
No, not usually. No.
Well, I was recommending something to Dawn and Susie. I said, listen, you know, maybe we all need to discuss is Vampire Hunter D and Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. I said, because those are just two great films, back to back. I mean, the fact that a sequel did better than the original tells you everything. Western studio meets Eastern studio. But is there anything you ladies want to add?
I do have one thing of just about all the sets. What was your favorite secret passageway?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. My favorite secret passageway was the one in Victoria's room because, and I'll tell you why. She uses it because I'm just like, look, I had a huge crush on Alexander's character.
Mm-hmm.
I love Victoria Winters to death. It's why I married a brunette. No.
No.
but the fact that she uses that secret passage in 1795 to sneak back into the great house, and I love how they do that. Barnabas uses it to get into her room. They use it enough to let you know that it's there, and the fact that it's there is just, and that now it's always been there. It's just creepy as hell.
Yeah.
One of the creepiest ones for me was, I don't know if it was a secret passageway necessarily, but it still creeped me out, was when in parallel time when Julia got locked in the sub basement by Angelique because Angelique had tricked her.
Yeah.
And it was like it was the door behind the shelf, and that's why they couldn't find her, because they kept passing this shelf and they couldn't find it. There wasn't a door there, so they didn't think that there was a room there.
Yeah.
And Julia was just going to be forgotten about, if it hadn't been for Roxanne, But yeah, because it was just so creepy, thinking about being locked in that dark room for all eternity until you starved or froze to death, And I don't know. What about you?
Mine was the catacombs under the old house that led out to under Widow's Hill.
Dadgum, that was a good one.
The way Maggie got out and then
Yeah.
Barnabas went after her. That's the catacombs under the house are my favorite.
Count
They are
the
so
bricks.
creepy. Oh my god.
The fact that they lit them darker than Angelique's heart, yeah.
Yeah.
And the riddle to get there. That whole saga was like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
I held my breath till she got out.
I keep trying to convince my wife. I'm like, listen, black and white shows are great to watch.
They are.
Because it's not just the light and shadows, it's sort of the language you're getting with the light and shadows. Because you're getting very adult themed shows. The catacombs thing was neat too. How they filmed it in the dark, and it just felt something you'd see out of like an old 30s or 40s movie.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
which was just. I wish that's the one thing we don't really get either with when the passage in Vicky's room. We don't see the tunnel at all.
No, we don't. But it left it to your imagination, and the imagination ran wild.
It would have been cool to see that though.
It would have been,
because it was used so much.
Yeah,
I wish we would have gotten at least one or two scenes going through it. That would have been cool.
I do think there's a secret passage in the drawing room as well. I do think there are secret passages we haven't even seen yet.
Oh, so. Absolutely, yeah.
If we get a new series, I hope we see more secret passageways, because those are my favorite things. I love secret passageways.
Yes.
Mark B. Perry, if you're listening,
come on, guy, help us out.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll wait.
What are you ladies doing next week? And I'd love to talk some more Dark Shadows with you. What do you do?
I'm pretty free on the weekend, as far as I know. Saturday, Sunday.
I'm unemployed, so I'm free all the time.
So let's I'm trying to think of something we haven't discussed. Let's discuss these. Well, I've been wanting to do 1795 with you. Let's discuss episode 1 of 1795.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
So 1790 talks from 1795 is next Saturday good?
Yeah.
Same time?
Same, you know.
Same bat time, same bat
Yeah.
channel.
Yeah, you're coming to this channel. Julie will give you a hug. My wife's like, the fact that you get guests on is a miracle.
Why is it a miracle?
Well, my wife's like, she'll cut a promo on me just for fun. She goes, I'm glad you get guests on, but the fact that you drive me crazy, you have to drive your guests crazy.
Oh my God.
I'm like, I drive everybody crazy, dear. It's
We
my
don't
job.
live with you, so I don't know what it's like for her, but not us. I don't know. But we don't live with you.
Well, I live to drive my wife crazy. That's every man's job. That's every man's job. Oh my! There's a link to Between the Shadows, the Dark Shadows podcast is definitely going to be in the description box. Go check out their channel, and link to their Facebook page will be in the description box. Go check them out on Facebook. That Christine Pierce, Cara, Tillitz. They're also on Twitter at Lady Mongoose, at I Don't Care 13. That's got to be one of the fun Twitter handles ever. Like, no, I don't care. No, I do care. I remember like when I was making my Twitter account, and I literally typed in resident of Collinwood because I was just lazy. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I don't care. Like, whatever, resident of Collinwood. And I'm just like, I'm like, it'll give it to me. No, at Collinwood of is what they gave me. I'm like, yeah, it fits. Because that's something. Julie asked me, she goes, how did you pick your Twitter name? I'm like, well, really, I didn't.
You get the point across. So,
like, if you ever join X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, you do not you can pick your name. It's just got to be a certain length.
Yeah.
And now I know that. No, I'm not changing my name. But yeah, links to Christine and Cara's channel and her Facebook page. Ladies, it is always a pleasure. Yeah. I will see you next weekend, next Saturday.
Next Saturday.
Take care. Have a great weekend.
Bye. Bye, Jim.